Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for Jexo's webinar today. We will learn a little bit more about the prioritization and how to apply a different prioritization techniques in your project and ultimately get more done. Prioritization is one of the key tasks in project management, but more than often the things go the wrong way, especially when many people are involved in the prioritization process or we just don't know where to start. So let's just do a quick introduction. I'm Nikki, co-founder at Jexo, where I'm taking care of everything product related. I'm working in software for about 9 years, and I started as a QA. I did a support and customer success, and now I'm more focused on the product management and design. So what we will be going through in this talk, I will give you a quick introduction to the prioritization. I will show you some of the best methods for project prioritization you can use that are already industry standard and ready for you to pick up. But I will also show you how you can create your own prioritization method with something that is called weighted scoring. With this method, you can basically identify the factors that are most important for your project, and you can use them then in prioritization. And in the end, I will show you how you can apply all of this and use it in Jira. But before we start, I just wanted to quickly introduce you to Jexo. Jexo is a Gold Atlassian Marketplace partner that helps teams improve the way they deliver work with our Jira planning apps. We have a portfolio of planning apps on our marketplace, and we are covering topics like road mapping, prioritization, reporting, and risk management. But now let's have a look back on the topic. One big problem that many of us have while managing projects or managing our work really is not knowing what to work on next. What projects or what tasks are bringing the most value to the customers? It's also really hard to scope something. If you have a long backlog of items requested from different clients or stakeholders, how do you actually decide on what to work on next? There are many situations in project management where you prioritize. One of the most common ones is backlog refinement or sprint planning. This is a more low-level prioritization, but when you're prioritizing actual day-to-day tasks, but it also can be prioritizing for the agile release train or when you are doing a project assessment, which is more high-level prioritization. So really, you can prioritize anything from lower-level tasks to activities, initiatives, and projects itself. A big problem is that not many of us know how to prioritize, and when working with the teams and stakeholders while prioritizing without introducing trade-offs, you might end up with everything being important. And when everything is important, then nothing really is. So to fix our prioritization process, you can use prioritization methods. Any of the quantitative prioritization methods that you can use are very simple, with the same principles in core. They all help you assess some kind of priority score to help you decide on your priorities. So when you're thinking of the prioritization method for your project, you need to think of the key factors that are important to your particular project or whatever you're trying to prioritize. For example, it can be effort, impact, costs, risks, and so on. And then you need to find out how to calculate priority score correctly so it makes sense. And then once you have all of these bases, you can go ahead and you can start prioritizing your backlog. And in the end, once you finish the prioritization, you can finally identify the top priorities by looking at the ones with the highest priority score. Usually the higher the priority score in these methods, the more important the task is. But you can also use something that is called priority matrix, which is basically a matrix where on x and y axis you plot one of the factors, and then you can have a look visually on these priorities and, for example, identify the ones with the highest impact and lowest effort, which are usually the ones you should pick up first, and we call them quick wins. But how do you know what prioritization method to use? There are many quantitative methods, but I did split them into two different types. So one type is a predefined prioritization methods. These are really good because they have been already used in many projects and many companies. They're reliable and usually simpler. And they're quite generic, which makes them great to start with as well. So if you are new to prioritization and you want to just quickly get off the ground and running, and you don't want to think about creating prioritization method too much, these are perfect for you. On the other hand, there is an option to create your own prioritization method using a technique that is called weighted scoring. You basically identify factors that are important for your project and you also rank their importance. You basically weight them. This method is a little bit more advanced. You need to spend a little bit time preparing in order to be able to use it. But I did put together a few examples of key factors that you can use and that will speed up this creation process of this method for you. I think this one is really good because it's customized. It's very specific to your project and you can adjust it to your own needs, which makes it more accurate for your project prioritization as well. So let me talk first a little bit about the predefined prioritization methods. There are many of them, but I picked top 3 relevant that are good for a project management. But if you're interested about more methods, we created this book that covers the top 15 prioritization methods that you can download for free. So in this IUE prioritization method, we look at the 3 key factors, which are impact, urgency, and ease. And we are calculating a priority score itself just by multiplying the metrics, and then you get the priority score. And to assess the backlog, you assign number from 1 to 5, where 1 is the worst and 5 is the best for each of the factors. This prioritization method is also popular because you can combine it with using priority matrix, which is also called impact urgency matrix. So as the name suggests, you basically plot the urgency and the impact on the matrix, and you do get the quadrants like do now, do next, do never, and do last. This will really help you to bring a little bit different dimension into your prioritization process as well, so you don't need to look at the priority score only. The next method we are going to look at is GUT method. With this one, we are using factors like gravity, urgency, and tendency. So when you're looking at the gravity, you're assessing what are the effects of this task or project, if it's serious or it's not serious. Then when you're looking at the urgency, you're asking if this can wait or it does need to be done right now. And with the tendency, we are asking if it gets worse fast or maybe in a short time, midterm, or never. And the last method is weighted shortest job first, which is the method usually used in a scaled agile or safe. It does help calculate and understand what is the level of financial impact of not finishing the task or implementing the solution sooner than later. Okay, so that was enough about predefined prioritization methods. Now let's have a look at creating our own priority scoring with weighted scoring methods. So there are 4 steps for you to do in order to create your own prioritization method and then use it. The first one is to identify the core factors that are typical for your project. Then you need to rank your core factors to give them importance in your scoring formula. And after that, you need to create your own prioritization formula. It's really simple. I will show you how to do that. And finally, you can go ahead and introduce the prioritization method to the team and start prioritizing backlog. Usually many people, when they think of creating their own prioritization methods, they struggle with identifying the core factors. So that's why I looked at the different prioritization methods used in variety of projects and I collected the commonly appearing factors. And then I structured these factors into buckets depending on the team. One of the buckets is, for example, effort and time. Then there is a team bucket and importance and impact bucket. So when you are creating your prioritization method, you can just come and pick up the factors from these buckets and add them to your formula. So under effort and time bucket, you can find factors like, for example, story points, effort, ease, but there is also a timelessness or tendency where you're assessing if the task is important in long term or if it's a short-term priority. There are also metrics to assess dependencies, time sensitivity, or cross-team collaboration, because usually if you're collaborating on a project with other teams, then things might get a little bit slowed down by the cross-project dependencies because they're a little bit more difficult and tricky to manage. The next bucket is a team bucket. So here you can find factors like, for example, employee satisfaction or team health. You're basically assessing if the task contributes to your team health or if your team is going to be motivated enough to complete this task. A good example is if you would be doing, for example, some maintenance tasks as opposed to some really exciting new projects. There's also a competency and skills that are very related factors. So you can ask, how skilled is my team, or do I have majority of juniors in the team, or is there some senior who can deliver these tasks or help me coach the team? Then there's efficiency, which is quite interesting factor as well. You basically look at your if your team is going to be more efficient after delivering these tasks. So a good example is, for example, deciding to automate some kind of workflow for your team. And the last, there is a confidence. So how confident is my team that they're going to be able to deliver this item with the estimation they've done? And the next bucket is importance. So many companies are struggling with managing their stakeholders, and creating different importance metrics for your stakeholders from different departments might be actually a good idea because you do involve them in the prioritization process and you basically assure them that you're including their opinion in the prioritization as well. So you can have stakeholders from, for example, sales, tech, product, legal, and so on. And you can also look at the priorities from a different perspective by assessing if it's necessary. So you can determine, for example, technical necessity or legal requirements and so on. One good example is the GDPR, because you can't really function without that these days. And the last bucket that we will look at is the impact bucket. So here you can have a look on how your vision is affected, or if the task is risky, or if it's affecting your goals. How does this task, for example, contribute to your overall company or team goal? And does this increase sales maybe? Or on the other side, if you want to have a look on increasing customer satisfaction, or does it have a good internal or external impact? Does it have an impact on a brand maybe? Or let's say there is some risk potential, or it's reducing the risks. So these are all great factors that you can be looking at as well. And when it comes to creating the scoring itself, it's quite simple. Basically, all you need to do is to identify the factors and then give them a weight. The weight can be the number from 1 to 9 to make it simpler. And the higher the number, the more important the factor is, and it has also more weight in your scoring formula too. So once you have that, you need to multiply the weight with each factor and then sum them up. But because this number is quite large, if you have a lot of factors in the formula, what you can do is to divide all of this by a sum of weights, and that's it. So I know that it might look a little bit complicated, but it's not. So I will show you this example where you can imagine it a little bit better and try it for yourself. So let's say that I'm working on this project where my team is quite new. We didn't work together before, and we have a mix of skill set in the team, but majority of them are junior. We do have a senior person in the team, but there is a possibility that we wouldn't have enough capacity or a skill set to deliver a certain tasks. So that's why I basically picked these metrics specifically for this project. It's usually good to pick either ease or effort metric for your prioritization. So you're considering also how long or how difficult it will be to deliver something. Because we are a new team, I also added a cross-project collaboration in, and the risk potential to make sure that we identify the tasks that need cross-team collaboration upfront. Next, I added a weight to each of these factors, which will represent their importance. You can choose the number from 1 to 9 to make it easier, and the higher the number, the more important the factor is. Once we have all of this, we can go and create the actual scoring formula. So basically, we just summarize all factors, and we make sure to multiply each of the factor by its weight as well. And then we divide it by a sum of all weights, which is a 16 in this case. And that's about it. Now you can go and use these factors and scoring formula to prioritize your projects. And when assessing the priorities, make sure that you assign number from 1 to 5 to each of the factors, and the higher the number, the better. You can use any tool that you would like for example Excel, but if you would like to prioritize in Jira, you might be interested in our app Foxly. Foxly is a Jira app that helps you create and standardize your prioritization methods and prioritize your issues in Jira directly. Foxly comes with predefined industry standard prioritization methods, but it also allows you to create your own method, like the one that I showed you earlier. You can use different styles of your metrics or factors, like for example star rating or labels, so it's easier to prioritize for your team. And it also allows you to create your own custom scoring formula. Once you set up your prioritization method, you can prioritize your issues in this interactive table. And once you assign all metrics to the issue, the priority score is then automatically calculated. You can also order your backlog by priority from highest to lowest to see the most important items on the top. And to get another dimension to your prioritization, you can use this priority matrix view. Here you can choose what metrics you would like to see on the X and Y axis to create your own quadrants and views, which gives you quite a bit of flexibility from a data visualization perspective. There's also a table under the chart where you can see the actual issues and you can open them in Jira as well. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. Before you go, I prepared this worksheet for you where you can find all the factors that I mentioned in this webinar, and you can also use it to create your own prioritization method for your projects. There's also an example and how to create a scoring formula, so it's a little bit easier for you when you're doing it. And that's about it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you learned something new. If you would like to chat more about prioritization, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can just type the comment under this video and we will get back to you. And if you would like to give Foxly a try, have a look at our website, jexo.io, where you can learn more. Happy prioritizing!